Purpose.
Hello, welcome to Youth of Purpose, a show that is here to give you a platform as a young person to be able to contribute to your country's development and make yourself better. We give you this platform to give your opinion in as far as national importance issues are concerned. But also as young people, we face a number of challenges that I do think we sometimes, or at most times actually, have solutions to, but we are not given a platform to suggest what we think can better our lives. And that's what Youth of Purpose is here to do, to give you that platform, to speak to the stakeholders in this nation, to be listened to, and then contribute to this country's development by giving in your opinion. Now today, as we understand that the reading culture in this country, but also the writing culture, because if we are to read, definitely there must be people that are writing the arts, the literature that we are going to read. But that is a spirit that for years now has kind of lost, a platform, or we don't see many people taking up this kind of initiative to write. But when you go to schools and communities, I may ask for you people who are watching, how many books did you read this week? How many books did you read the previous month or even the previous year? You might find that you can bear me witness for the previous 5 years, you haven't read a book. And you ask yourself, where do you learn from? Other than the movies that you watch. Most of you, I understand, the young people, you want to learn from the movies, your friends and stuff, but then reading helps you to move to places. When we were doing literature in high school, we used to ask ourselves, so what kind of life do these people that don't do literature live? Do they actually even know what's happening in the world? Because basically, literature brings the whole world at your hands, and you're able to understand whatever is taking place in the whole world. So today, we want to be looking at how we can be able to develop the reading culture in this country, but also encourage young people to involve themselves in writing. Write your culture, write your history, write about who you are, such that people can understand who we are, other than the West and other people writing about us. They might not be able to tell our story better. And with me today, I have a person that is very passionate about writing, passionate about young people. She is an author, an entrepreneur. We want to be listening to her, and as you watch, I'm certain you're going to be able to learn a number of things. She has written this book, Jalia and the Secret of the Golden Dragonfly. We want to know about this book, what can we be able to learn from this book, and what inspired her to write. Michelle, welcome to Youth of Purpose.
Thank you so much.
We are so happy to have you here.
And I'm glad to be here.
And kindly say hello to the viewer.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Michelle Masanza, and I'm really, really happy to be here today.
I already gave a brief introduction about yourself, but I think it would be better if you can let us know about you.
Okay. So my name's, again, Michelle Masanza. I am a writer, an author. I am an artist, a painter, a digital illustrator, and currently a high school student.
Who is an author?
An author is someone that uses the power of writing to influence the world around them and to bring the stories in their minds into reality.
Amazing. You're very young by the look at your face. What inspires you into writing that at your tender age you're able to release a book of your own?
What really inspires me is the world around me. The stories. Every time I see someone walking by, I think, wow, that person has a whole life around them. They have different challenges, they have different strengths, different weaknesses. They meet a million people in their lifetimes, but each and every one of us has a story.
Oh yeah.
And that truly inspires me to explore the stories that we live and to use my passion for writing to build such stories that inspire, stories that teach, stories that force us to look at our lives through a different perspective. And that's really what my goal was with Jalia. My goal was to force us to look at a story from several different perspectives and see how your point of view affects the way that you interact with the world.
Oh, yes. So before we go to the book, first of all, what's your take in as far as the reading culture is today in Uganda, mostly amongst the young people?
Amongst the young people, in my experience, we do not read as much as we should. Most times, once you leave secondary school, that is the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you will read 30 more books till that day you die, and that's maybe if you are really forced to, maybe if your job has something that they require you to. Those that really get into self-improvement, even they read a handful of books that, yes, are impactful, but we are really, really missing out on the wealth of knowledge that is compressed within a book. In Africa, I don't think that our reading culture, especially amongst the youth, is where it should be.
Amazing. So first of all, we say the reading culture is not where it should be. To say it's just low. Why is it in any way important for anyone to read? What does it add on me? But also, you may understand that for some people, the only books they've read are the academic ones. Is that if someone is doing sciences, they've read biology books and that's it. If it's mathematics, the books I read that were the textbooks that were given to us in high school, that's all. The same comes to campus. The courses you're doing, you're just reading for the basics of passing exams. That's the reading actually that we know. So should I consider myself a reader if I've read all the books, the academic books they gave me at school? And then why is it important for me to be a reader?
Okay, so it's really, really important for us to read because it rounds us. It gives us a more cultured view of the world and it makes you a balanced individual.
Wow.
Because you can read, and if you, let's say if you're an engineer, you can read so much about engineering, but is that all you are? Does your worth and the value that you bring to the world stop at being an engineer? No, you might be a father, you might be an artist, you might be a brother.
But even actually, when you're an engineer, that means you're going to be working with people.
Exactly.
So how you relate with people, how you talk to people. Yeah.
Yes, how to build really strong relationships that are going to serve you throughout your career. And missing out on reading books that build all these other components of your life is a mistake that we can no longer afford to make, especially us, the ones that are going to be taking the world into the next season.
Oh. Okay, coming to the reason why we are here today, Jalia and the Secret of the Golden Dragonfly. Tell us about this book.
So, Jalia, in The Secret of the Golden Dragonfly, is a fictional novel. It's the first part in a series, and it tells the story of a girl who gets in a lot of trouble because she goes sticking her nose where it's not supposed to be.
Curiosity.
Yeah, the curiosity really, really almost killed this cat.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so that's what this story is about. It's really about misunderstandings and the danger that not having the full story can put you in.
So what inspires you to write this book? Because for some of the people, the books they write would be kind of about their life, the life they've lived, what they've gone through. Does this book in any way relate to your personal life?
Well, of course, as an author, we cannot write outside ourselves. We can think creatively about what a different character would do in a certain situation. But to say that I am completely removed from this book would be a lie. This book definitely is inspired by some of the situations that I've gone through in my life. Also some of the things that people in my life have gone through. Some of the challenges we have faced and the dangers of misinformation as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those are some of the things that inspired me to write this book.
So first of all, I need to let you know that I had time to first read the whole of this book. And I can tell you, this is the book for you to read. If you haven't started reading, please get started with this one. And I can testify that I've not seen any difference. If not, I've seen better from the novels and the books that I've read from high school, at university. And I think, with no offense, I want to compare with the Chinua Achebes. And honestly, you've done us a very great work as Uganda, but also as Africa. And for those who did literature, they can bear me witness that most of the novels and the books that we're doing, I don't remember any book or novel that was written by a Ugandan. Leave out the people who are doing literature in Luganda. Those ones, at least Luganda is definitely written from here. But for those who are doing literature in English, I don't remember any novel that I read that was written by a Ugandan, and that's so sad.
It was something that shocked me, actually, because I am a reader. This year alone, I have read over 120 books.
120 books?
Yes.
How do you do that? Do you do that as a job? What?
No. Once you understand the power of reading, this is knowledge that has been compressed in one of the most easily accessible ways. As you understand the value of that, you cannot fail to read a book.
And actually, reading is addictive.
It is.
You can
It's really
be
addictive.
very, very addictive. And if you don't know, but I think it comes with good literature. If someone has written good literature, definitely you'll be addicted to read. There are books that are smaller than this one, but I cannot read them in a day. I read a chapter, I go and relax. I read another chapter.
Yes.
But I couldn't let myself go away before finishing this book. I wanted to know how the story ends. Unfortunately, she has put this in series. So, and she has an art of leaving you hanging in a way that you must read the next chapter, whether you want it or not. So, Jalia is a book for you to get, guys. Later, she'll be telling us where to access this book, whether online or in the bookshops. So, the first part of this book, first of all, helps me to understand the kind of environment that we are living in, and it sets a very example that many young people out there will identify with. Being able to choose careers for ourselves, it's a very, very big challenge that you will find the lives we are living are not our lives. We are living lives of other people.
Other people, the society.
Exactly. It might be because of the village, how people want you to live to their standards, to their norms, or at most times, the young people live the lives of their parents. I don't want my father to feel like this. My father wants that. You are my son, you cannot. You are my daughter, you cannot. And therefore, everything is about them, not you. Tell us about that part.
So, that one, I think, is the part of the book that I felt most. That is the most of me that appears in this book.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've grown up in a society. My mom is a microbiologist. My father is an entomologist.
Entomologist.
He's an agriculturist.
Agriculturist is what we can understand with our... Yes.
He has studied all of the insects that affect that matoke you eat.
Wow.
He wrote a book about it.
Wow.
So me, being someone that's so much into arts, so much into painting and cutting, I was always cutting things up. I was always drawing on their walls. I was always so.
And they let you do so. And in the book, I read where you were writing about Jalia. Jalia is the character that she uses in this book. Saying Jalia was appreciating the dad for allowing her to write on the walls. And
actually, that is me.
Wow.
That acknowledgement is me. But at the same time, I also did feel that pressure growing up to go on for a marketable career. Arts in Africa has not really, that the creative economy has not developed to the extent that society has accepted it as at the same level of being a doctor or at the same level of being an engineer. And that struggle was in me as well, and that really stopped me from pursuing art. I only really started seriously pursuing art 2 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah. So I've been drawing for 2 years, painting for 2 years. That's when I truly allowed myself to explore myself authentically, because society has this demand on our youth to create a sort of stability, but that is stability in the context that they grew up in. What it means to have stable income in 1962 isn't necessarily what it means to have stable income in 2022. There are so many more opportunities now than there were back then.
How were your parents able to understand that and let you do so? Your parents are staunch scientists.
Staunch.
So how were they able to accept and say, for Michelle, this is what she is and let us support her?
I think, number one, there was going to be no other option for me. I cannot, I am incapable of not being myself.
You can't be a shadow
I
of
cannot
someone.
be someone else. So from a young age, society tried to steer me, but I was like, Neda, I know what I want.
Yeah.
Once they understood that, my parents never saw me as an extension of themselves. They saw me as an individual that they are training up to be a productive member of society. So my parents focused more on instilling within me foundational principles. The reason I'm a reader is because of my mother. From a young age, my mom would give us books to read and tell us to write reports. From a young age, they would buy me. If I wanted tennis, they'd take me. If I wanted dance. So they really invested in me. Now, those things didn't really go anywhere. But what they did was they gave me a platform to really build confidence in myself. So most of the pressure to be anything other than who I was came from the society around me. But my parents really formed a safety net for me. And I really owe everything that I am today to them.
Wow. Another aspect that your book brings out that for me it was very crucial and is also a challenge that young people face, and a reason that you should be able to read this book and the more series that are going to come out, was the aspect of having to choose between being a rebellious child or you lose yourself and accept to take, for example, what your parents or society wants you to be. And it's a very, very, very hard junction for someone to choose a path to take. To say that, let me just do what they want, or let me do what is right.
What is right.
Yes.
That is a decision that all of us have to make at some point in our lives. I think if you are blessed, you have been given the opportunity to be rebellious in the security of your guardian's home. You have been given a chance to make those mistakes when it is not as consequential as making them at 35 when you have a family. So what my hope is that each of us during those times, we are given the opportunities and the tools to make those decisions for ourselves. Not everyone is going to be in a situation where they can choose to take their passion. However, everyone needs to be able to make a choice for themselves and to understand why they are making that choice, not because so and so said so, because it is expected of me. That decision should come from you, so that you do not reach a point and begin to lash out at society when eventually you're miserable with your condition. Then you start blaming everyone around.
But it becomes very, very hard. We talk about it and we make it seem easy that you're going to be able to make a stand. But from reading this book and from your writing, you can see how hard it was for Jalia, first of all, to make her parents understand what she wants to do. But at the same time, we see the conflict of parents. One, the mother wants to try to understand the daughter, but she cannot make a stand against the father. Exactly. And therefore, the child remains with the fighting within herself, not being able to open up, because when she knows, the mother is not going to be able to do anything about it. And that's why at some points we see her fleeing home, and many children actually have done that. So how can one be able to make their parents understand their interest? But also, how can we encourage our parents to be able to understand that we also have a life. They've lived their life. Why can't they support us to be exactly who we are? And I can tell you from our family, the same with me. I'm the person who was the first to come out to completely do arts. You understand? So, and going into media for that case, people look at media for people who are unserious. You understand? So they are like, so you're going into media, hey, ABCD, you're going to be like the other person. I'm like, no. I think I can bring in a different aspect of media personalities. Not until I did this and I proved to them that, by the way, I can be a media personality, but also stay a good person. And they do appreciate what I'm doing today. So how do we be able to make that stand, to make our parents understand us, support us, but also encourage the parents to do their rights and do their role as parents?
So I think that change has to happen on two levels. The first is the family level. There needs to be a conversation between the children and the parents, an understanding that I am in your care, dear parent. I am in your house and there are certain rules that I must abide by. However, I will leave this house and I will be an independent person. So I think that rather than focusing on controlling the outcome of my life, we focus on me being raised in a manner that will make me a strong individual. That way you raise people that whatever situation they face in life, they will be good human beings.
Oh, yes.
Whether that is a doctor, because you can raise a doctor, but when they are a terrible, terrible, terrible person. The second level has to be on the cultural level. I think as a culture and society, we need to tell more of these success stories. For example, your story. The more we see people like you who come out and who society can say, okay, he did arts, the world did not end. He's actually doing a lot more for society.
Yes.
Than he would have done
if he
had gone into sciences. So really telling these stories of successful people that went against the norm and created, kind of built this new path for people to walk on. So I think if we can do those two things, have that inter-family communication, but also as a society, read more, hear more, learn more about these stories. It will really go a long way in taking us forward as a society.
Yeah. What does this book mean to you?
This book to me means taking back my voice, taking back my power. It means me expressing those parts of myself that I had suppressed. It means me saying to the world, here I am. This is what I am here.
Yes.
But also this book to me symbolizes the beginning of a new era in Africa. I am going to make it my life's work to turn Africans not just into readers, but into writers.
Amazing.
By inspiring a new generation to put thought to pen and put pen to paper.
Great.
Yes.
What's your message to a young person out there who is an aspiring writer, but also the person who has been trying to become a reader, and every time they read 1-2 pages, either they are sleeping or they get bored and they give up? What's the strategy for them to be able to read 120 books in a year?
I think that the easiest advice that I could give you is find what works for you. For me, audiobooks are the tool that I use. I can put in my headphones, I put on the audiobook as I do the other things, because a lot of people say they don't have time to read because it interrupts their life. But my dear, if you sit in a taxi every morning and every evening for 1 hour to work, that is 2 hours a day. You can convert into knowledge. Learn to maximize your time. And that's the same advice I would give for any aspiring writer. Stop making excuses, my dear. You have 24 hours in a day, and so does who? Bill Gates. Maximize your time. This book was written 1 page at a time. I spent 1 hour every day, Monday to Sunday, for almost a year. And here I am. So build habits that are going to get you to your goals, and please stop babying yourself. I know that's not what some people might want to hear.
No, but they need to. They need to hear that.
Be tougher on yourself, not in beating yourself down, but in building those habits that are going to take you to your goals.
My recommendation is every young person out there, actually not only young person, not only young people, but everyone out there, is to read this book. What's the 2 books other than this yours? This is the first recommendation, definitely. Any 2 books that you recommend to young people to read to transform their lives?
I have so many.
Just 2.
Let me pick 2. The first book I would recommend is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. As a young person, that book has a lot of skills that if you add onto your foundation early in life, they will really take you far. The second book is Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Yes, that one. I don't know, but I always have to add it in there.
Wow.
I think that book, it's a fictional novel. A lot of people are turned off by reading non-fiction books, so it's a light read. You can knock it out in one day.
Okay.
But what I challenge you most of the time is to think about the real message
In the book.
in the back of the book.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Michelle, for speaking to us, and thank you for putting this together. I can tell you, I consider her one of the greatest writers Africa is going to have and is having today. When you read the content in here, you'll be able to come out and give us a testimony. I do believe young people like Michelle are going to transform Africa, like Youth of Purpose is transforming Uganda, and at the same time, we are going to transform Africa. Thank you so much for watching this show. Go out and read. One book that I also recommend, away from Michelle's book, Jalia and the Secret of the Golden Dragonfly. You go and read the 7 Stages of Self-Awakening, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. Yes, by Robin Sharma. Yes. Go and read that book. I'm certain it is going to transform your life. You can never remain the same after reading that book. You will bear me witness. I thank you so much for watching this show. Go and follow me on all my social media platforms at I_Tumkunde on Twitter, Tumkunde on Instagram, Ivan Tumkunde on LinkedIn, and Tumkunde on Facebook. Michelle, maybe you can let people know how they can follow you.
You can follow me on Instagram at thirdworldgirl, third_world_girl_, as well as on YouTube at thirdworldgirl. The same names on Facebook.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much for watching this show. See you next time.
Youth